Hi, I'm Alice Schneider. Today I'm here with Bob Salmons, and I'm going to interview him for the Veterans Day interview. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Today is Halloween. It is October 31st, 2020. So, what is your name?
Bob Salmons.
Awesome. And your birthday?
It's in October.
Cool. Your current address?
I live in Richmond, Kentucky.
What branch of service did you serve in?
I was in the U.S. Navy.
What was your rank?
I was an E6.
And where did you serve?
I served on the USS Port Royal and at headquarters U.S. SINCPAC. They were both out of Hawaii.
Fun. Segment 2, Jogging Memory. Why did you join?
Well, after high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't really want to go to college and without any plan as to what to study. So I decided to join the Navy.
Awesome.
And see the world.
That's actually really cool. Why did you pick the service branch that you joined?
Well, my grandfather served in the Navy in World War II, and my uncle in the Navy in Vietnam. So it's kind of a family branch, I guess you could say. So I decided to select the Navy. Plus, they were the only branch that could guarantee me a specific job.
Fine. All right. Do you recall your first days in service?
Yes, they were very scary.
I can imagine.
Yeah, they intentionally keep you up for very long hours, and then it's a very abrasive environment with lots of yelling and screaming, and so it's a shock to the system.
Segment 3, Experiences. Do you remember arriving and what was it like?
Arriving at boot camp was very kind of scary because it was late at night and it was dark and there was lots of screaming and yelling and confusion, and that kind of plays into the whole getting you into kind of a shocked state of mind so that you can learn how to do things their way.
Yeah.
And then there's another arrival that happened, and it was after I had some technical training, and I flew into Bahrain in the UAE to meet up with the ship, the Port Royal. And that was very interesting. After being on an airplane for about 26 hours, we get off in what appears to be a hostile environment with lots of guards with machine guns in a foreign airport yelling in a foreign language. And so that was a very interesting arrival.
Yeah.
It was, again, another shock to the system.
It's like it's all full of shocks.
Yes.
All right. What was your job or assignment?
Well, I did networking and telecommunications, so I did a lot with communications. And I did a lot of technical work and fixing problems with equipment and making sure that data could flow from different sites around the world.
Fun. Okay. Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences.
Okay. First one would probably be when we went on the ship. We went to a place called Kwajalein, and it's a group of islands called an atoll, and it's in the South Pacific. And the U.S. did nuclear testing there when they were developing nuclear weapons. So it's been uninhabited for the most part for many, many years. And so it's untouched islands. So in the movies, when you see the islands where the people are stranded and it's just pristine, nothing has touched it for years and years and decades. Well, that's what it was like.
Wow.
So there are some people that work there. There's a small army base there that does missile testing because there's nobody around.
Yeah.
But we got to go to a couple of the different islands where nobody lived, and they were just absolutely amazing. Crystal clear waters and just untouched for quite a long time.
So after the big shock, you get a little bit of a break.
So that was really, really neat.
Yeah.
I guess another one was when we pulled into Thailand. I got to go take a trip into the jungle to see the bridge over the River Kwai, where there was a movie about it, where they had a prison camp, and there was prisoners from different countries being held there, and they had to build a bridge for over the river for their captors, and so it was a historical kind of place, and I got to see a lot of actual people living in jungles and huts, and it was
cool.
it was like something out of a movie, so it was pretty
You
neat.
were basically living in a movie.
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Okay. Segment 4, life. What was the food like?
Oh, what was the food like? Well, it wasn't bad. So that a lot of people might find that shocking. It wasn't terrible at all. The cooks on the ship take their job pretty seriously because the food has a lot to do with morale and helping people feel better. Because if you get fed a bunch of slop, then you're not liking life very much. However, that kind of changes. Like on a ship, the longer you're out to sea, the food changes, because after the first few days you run out of fresh fruits and vegetables, so it switches to canned fruits and vegetables, and then you end up with milk that's not well, I guess it's heat treated milk. It's ultra high temperature milk, so it's different than regular milk. And that, so the longer you're out, the more it changes. And one of the trips we were in the Gulf, the Arabian Gulf, and we'd been out to sea for, I guess, about 45 days or so without replenishing, and we ended up really getting low on food. So they broke out the chicken nuggets, and these things, they served us these for next about 10 or so days until we got replenished. And we had those pretty much every meal, and they were not good. They were neon green kind of color, and we joked that they were surplus from World War II. So, yeah, we got tired of those pretty quick.
That sounds awful.
But other than that, as long as you're getting regular replenishments, the food was not bad. Can't complain.
Yeah. Okay. Was there anything special that you did for good luck?
Oh, no, not really.
Really?
No, it's. But I'm not a big. I don't really. I don't put a lot of stock in luck. So I guess maybe that really.
Yeah.
Kind of is why. But not really. No. I guess there was other people. They would wear certain. Actually, other people would wear certain clothing items like socks for. They had like good luck socks if something was going on. But me, I never really did.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events?
Yeah. One of the unusual events was one of the things we did in the Arabian Gulf. We would board cargo ships and do inspections to make sure they weren't transporting weapons and things they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And after we boarded one of them, several of the crew members wanted to seek asylum, so we brought them on board our ship, and we set them up with kind of a campsite that's on the outside of the ship, on the top, kind of on the deck outside. And that was pretty interesting because they lived on the ship for probably a week, I guess, as refugees, because they were trying to escape kind of a bad situation. So that was very interesting and unusual because it didn't happen a whole lot.
Yeah.
And so one of the things they did, though, they played when they were on board, when we replenish with it, come alongside another ship to replenish, when we are finished and we go a separate direction, it's called a breakaway, and they play a breakaway song over the speakers.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And they played the song Living Like a Refugee. So everybody thought that was pretty funny.
Oh my gosh. Segment 5, after service. Do you recall the day your service ended?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was, it'd been something that was coming for a while that I knew about. So I was separating from service, but that day was a very interesting day because you're excited for new things, but at the same time you're sad because you're leaving a life that you've known for many years. So it was an interesting day, full of highs and lows.
Yeah, I can imagine finally being free, but you made all those friendships and
Right.
you've done it for so long, and it just kind of became a lifestyle.
Yeah.
What did you do in the weeks and days afterwards?
Well, actually, I did farming. I got out of the military and went and stayed with my wife's parents, where we moved back here to Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, there was a lack of jobs in IT for information technology, so there weren't jobs to be fulfilled, so I couldn't find a job, is what it comes down to, really. So I spent a couple, 3 or 4 months farming until I could find a job. So it was very nice. It was a change of pace. I got to be outdoors, and it was very calming. Yeah, it was great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's good. Did you make any close friends while in service?
Oh yes, absolutely. One of which lives here in Richmond,
Awesome.
and we've worked together at 3 different jobs since we've both been out here in the Bluegrass area.
Yeah.
So it's been good friendship, and we stay in touch and talk often.
That's wonderful. Segment 6, years later. What did you go on to do as a career after serving?
Well, I continued in the IT field, doing networking and telecommunications and network security. So I stayed in the technical field because the training I had in the military, what I learned, really gave me a competitive advantage. It put me onto a good path. I had a good foundation, and was able to find employment eventually, and then keep going.
Yeah. Keep on living your life. How did your experiences in service affect your life?
Well, when you're in the service and you live that type of life for several years, it kind of becomes part of you. Mm-hmm. A lot of the things that you do in the military will stick with you for the rest of your life, and it's just really, I don't know, it just becomes ingrained in you. And a lot of people, if it might only be in for a couple, 3 or 4 years, might not feel that way, but I was in for almost 8 years, and it changes you.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it kind of, that just becomes part of who you are, and the way that you go through life.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to add that we have not covered in the interview?
Oh, I'd say that a lot of the veterans, even though you don't serve together, when you come across them and you know each other, then there's just kind of a mutual respect there, and you've had a lot of the same experiences, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of a brotherhood. So it's pretty interesting, and I definitely, anybody interested, I'd recommend to look into it. It's you can learn some good skills and really find your way in life.
Yeah.
So it can be a good experience.
I've heard that helps a lot of people, because sometimes you don't know what to do with your life.
Yeah, you don't.
There's always an option.
Right. And I got to travel on the ship. We traveled all over the place. I mean, I got to go to a bunch of different countries and see different cultures and eat different food from different cultures. Yeah. See how people lived, and see how lucky we are in the States here with the opportunities we have that a lot of countries just don't have.
Yeah.
So we're pretty lucky to be here.
All right, I think that concludes this Veterans Day interview. Thank you, Bob Salmons, for joining me today. And I had a nice time talking with you.
Great. Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah.